Real ones with me, I know we gon' beat the odds. Counterfeit, guess they from the thought of it. People fake, think they need to start a kid. Tryna be real, this right here.
Huge thank you to today's sponsor, Giant Snacks. Giants is a small family-owned business that specializes in premium flavor and giant snack sizes.
From sunflower seeds, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, and cashews, Giants has all the great snacks you need.
Don't forget some of the great flavors that they offer between dill pickle and sweet Thai chili.
Or whatever craving you have.
Check out some of the newest flavors coming to a store near you this fall.
Big Easy cashews and Big Easy sunflower seeds.
Available soon online or at a store near you. Once again, huge thank you to Giant Snacks for sponsoring this podcast.
Now let's get back to the podcast.
Who was the guy that you just had on, YouTuber?
His name's Caden. It's the Loonies YouTube channel.
Okay,
so he does. Like,
I haven't
pranks and
seen.
stuff.
Okay, I haven't seen his stuff. I guess I don't watch a lot of pranks on YouTube. I'm more of like a golf guy.
Sure.
On like
so you watch Good then?
I do. Yeah, I went through a big phase with them, and then I don't know. I'm a huge phase guy. I like go all in on something for 6 months, and then I won't do it again until 20 years later. Whatever that may be. Sports car is a good example. But yeah, no, I watch them. I watch like every single video of theirs for 3 or 4 months straight, and then I just you find a new creator. I'm a Bob Does Sports guy now. Have you ever heard of Bob Does Sports? Mm-hmm. He's one of the best golf creators out there. So,
Okay, perfect. Are we ready to get started?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm gonna do this intro quick.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay. Welcome back to the Beyond the Spotlight podcast, hosted by myself. My name is Jack Johnson.
And I'm Aiden Hoff.
Today we have Ryan in with us. I got you a little intro here. Today
let's hear it.
Today we have the pleasure of welcoming Ryan Sheely, also known as Ryan the T-Shirt Guy. Ryan wears many hats as a co-host of both the Breakfast Balls podcast and You Betcha Radio podcast, and is also a creative genius behind some of the most iconic merchandise out there. His Breakfast Balls YouTube channel has amassed over 20 million channel views and has over 16,000 subscribers. Welcome to the show, Ryan.
Thanks for having me, guys. I guess I didn't even know those stats, so thanks for looking those up for me.
20 million, that's quite a bit, man. We appreciate you coming on and being one of our early guests again. And we've been fans of You Betcha for a long time too, and Breakfast Balls here, so it's really cool to have you on.
Yeah, no, and Breakfast Balls is kind of just so my main job is I'm like I wouldn't even call it the merchandise manager. I'm more of like a project manager now. But when I first got into it, I was printing, fulfilling, shipping all of the merchandise that came through You Betcha. And that was back in November of 2018. And I think November of 2018 was the first merchandise launch that Miles had done. So I remember like printing the first, I think he did like a pre-sale for the first launch, and it was like 91 shirts or something like that. It felt like it took us 2 weeks. And now with our current operation, we could pump out 2,000 shirts in a day.
Wow.
Printing, fulfilling, shipping if we really wanted to. So that just in terms of like growth from 2018, that's like the benefit of having been there since the beginning, is I've been able to see it pretty much all the way through. And now Breakfast Ball is a coworker of mine, Tyler, who kind of oversees the content. I oversee the merchandise. We both enjoy golf. We're retired college athletes who want to stay competitive and have nothing else to be competitive with right now. And golf's like the number one go-to. Even though there are times where you're like, why are we even doing this? Why do I like just pain myself for 3 to 4 hours and spend like thousands of dollars a year just to get pissed off on like a beautiful Saturday morning, you know? But that's where we're at. So yeah, we started Breakfast Ball in 2020, which the timing of that, it couldn't have been any better because golf blew up during COVID. So now you have a lot of people who have never golfed or are picking it up again. That's what they started doing during COVID, because it's an outdoor sport and it's really the only thing you could do at that point. So we've been rolling with that ever since. And I think our pages could definitely be bigger if we were full time at it. But we focus on we do a 2-hour podcast, or from like start to finish about hour and a half, 2 hours once a week, and then we might go out and film 4 or 5 videos once a week, and then that's it. So it's kind of just like a side job within our main job, and it's done pretty well up until now. So
You mentioned that you were a college athlete?
Yep.
What
Is that
did you do?
surprising?
That is.
No, I played baseball at the University of Jamestown, just west of here, for 5 years.
Wow.
Yep. So it was a great time. And it's like every high school or college baseball player just ends up playing golf eventually.
Right.
And that's where I'm at in my life right now. So
Okay, bringing it back now to more nowadays. If you could summarize your job, like your position, in one sentence, what would that be?
like in terms of my job's a little bit more extensive in terms of one or two sentences, but what kind of sums it all up is like I just go to work and have fun all day. And it's not what a lot of people think is that, well, geez, must be nice to just sit around and laugh with your buddies and drink beer all day. It's like, well, number one, we rarely drink beer at the office. And number two, I mean, we have 15 full-time employees. So it's a full-fledged business. It's a full-fledged operation. It's essentially like any clothing brand that you would see on the internet that has an e-commerce site. That's what we are. People just see it a little differently because that's backed with the social media channel, which is like the driver of all the merchandise. So, I always told myself when I graduated college, I'm like, the money, I luckily had parents that supported me financially because I was playing baseball. After I graduated, I moved to Washington for 3 months, played summer baseball out there, tried to like live out the professional dream of getting a contract. Didn't happen, which is fine. So I moved on, and at that point of trying to find a job, it was very nerve-wracking, don't get me wrong. But I'm like, the money to me really doesn't matter. As long as I can pay, my credit card, my student loans, my rent, and buy some food, I'm good to go. I can donate plasma twice a week, $70, and like, hey, that's my entertainment for the week.
Yep.
But I didn't. I wanted to do something that whether the money was there or not didn't matter. I wanted to be able to go in and like enjoy going to work every day, because in college I worked I worked a really bad internship. It paid my rent throughout college, but it was also just I'd go into work and I'd get what I needed to get done in 60 minutes, and I was supposed to be there for 4 hours, and I would just sit there and do nothing, and it was tough. So it was like, hey, you can either try and make a bunch of money and be miserable, or you can just do something that's going to be fun day in and day out, and the money's going to follow from there.
So what do you do day to day?
So when I get in, like I said, my role has changed a lot. I used to be in the warehouse 100% of the time, just like printing shirts, running the customer service. That was years ago. And now my job's I shouldn't say it's more relaxing, but it's not like, nose to the grindstone every day, printing shirts, hats, whatever that may be. It's more so like the vision and like the back end work of what goes into like a merchandise company. Now, Miles makes all the bigger decisions, and I'm more of like I'm the doer, I'm the executor. So whatever his vision is and whatever he sees, the direction of things going in the next 6 months, or, hey, we're getting prepped for Black Friday in November. It's like, what are we going to do for that? He gives me the vision, and I go and execute every step along the way that needs to be done to make things happen. So like this morning, I go in, check my email. In terms of being like the project manager, if we're working on new products that we're designing from scratch, I'll check in with my manufacturers, whether that's in the US or overseas. And then it's kind of just like, I'll check. We have 3 different e-commerce websites, 2 hat brands and one in the Betcha store. So I'll check in on all those. I'll see where inventory levels are. I usually go in. I also do all the purchasing now. So I'll do all the purchasing that I need to for the day. And then it's kind of just like free reign from there on out. It's not really that structured. So if we have this going on, I might have to go over and do this. Or if we have that going on, I might have to go over and do that. So it kind of changes every day. And that's the cool part about it, is the variability every day you come in.
So Miles is known as the You Betcha guy, and you're known as the T-shirt guy, correct?
Someone call me that, yeah.
Yeah.
That's the Instagram name.
Now
I guess,
more than that, but
Yeah, you do more than that. When did you meet Miles, and how did that go about?
Well, so he's a Fargo Shanley guy. Also graduated in 2011. So we played basketball against each other. So like we kind of like, I knew what he always says, like, he's like, I had no fucking clue who you were. And I'm like, bullshit, you did. Like, give me a little credit here.
Yeah, I was hooping on you back in the day.
Right, yeah. So we had played basketball against each other. And then the first company I worked for out of college was a company called PRX Performance. And so they do space-saving home gym equipment. And they were a Shark Tank company. I got my foot in the door. I was employee number 6. And when the home gym community or industry boomed during COVID because no one could go to the gym, I think they went up to close to 100 employees. So I was like there from the ground level, which is really cool to see. And then again, I was packing boxes there. But I was also like running social media on the side, which is really fun. And again, it's like, hey, I was making $12 an hour out of college. I'm like, dude, I got 20 grand in debt and I got to pay off. But like, it didn't matter because I was having fun.
What was that social media that you were doing on the side?
Sorry. So I was running the social media for PRX.
Okay, gotcha.
Yep, I was doing that for like 10 to 15 hours a week, and then I was in the warehouse packing orders the rest of the day. So eventually we got to the point. So I was like, I was having to film my own videos, like because I wanted to we're in the digital age at this point. Back in what was it 2016, 2017, 2018. And like the social media presence wasn't fully there for PRX. So I'm like, all right, we're just going to bust out some content. I'm going to film my own videos, whether they're shitty or not. It just doesn't matter. And eventually I got to a point, I'm like, hey, I need someone to film me because just the tripod of like a moving like fitness type video is not the move. And I had seen, so Miles was doing freelance videography at that point when he got out of college. And I had seen a little bit of his work online, and I'm like, well, he's more than good enough. So I know a little bit about him. I reached out to him. I said, hey, man, I would love if you could like come shoot some videos for me. And the point that we got it to was, I don't know if you guys are familiar with Connor McGovern. He's a 2011 grad from Fargo Shanley, drafted by the Denver Broncos, 4 years in Denver, 3 years with the New York Jets. We ended up doing a brand deal with him for PRX and Connor McGovern. We set him up with the whole home gym system and whatnot. And him and Miles are like best buddies. So it worked out that we ended up trading Miles a video, like promotional video with Connor for a PRX rack. Like, hey, we'll just do a 1-to-1 trade here. And I was obviously facilitating the whole thing. So Miles and we took a drive out to Connor's lake cabin. It was like an hour 45 drive. I've really never talked to this guy in my life. And we kind of just like hit it off right away. Like he was big into the social media. I was big into the social media. We like followed the same creators and we were able to bounce different stuff off of each other. And that's how we originally met. So after we did that video, it followed, we ended up hiring him and his partner of their videography company to do like 2 videos a month. So they'd come in twice a month, they'd film me, and then they'd edit it, I'd post it, and we'd do it again the next month. So I always like to tell people like Miles was my video guy before like he's the one that got in front of the camera. So it kind of got to a point we're probably 6 months into knowing each other and kind of really like vibing out on the whole social media game. And he told me about this idea for like a Midwest entertainment channel that like puts the Midwest on the map and gives the people of the Midwest a voice because no one was really doing that at that point. It's called Betcha. And I'm like, dude, this sounds like a fantastic idea. So he kind of like, he got the page started and he was like trying to film the first video. And so even like from the original ideation of Betcha itself, we were talking about it. So it's not like I had to reach out and be like, hey man, I would love to print your merchandise. It just happened naturally. And that would have been back in probably 2018. So I was working at PRX and I was printing shirts on the side. So from 5:30 p.m. to 11 p.m., I was going to his shop, which is actually much smaller. We started in 1,400 square feet. I'd go there after PRX and I'd print shirts for 2, 3, 5 hours. It didn't matter. Like, dude, this is also sweet. Also, like making more money and like I'm able to like kind of ball out a little bit as a 23-year-old kid. You know, I'd buy it. making what, 35 grand a year. I was like, I thought I was balling out. It was it was awesome. So it got to a point where the merchandise started to grow and things were going really well. And he's like, hey, you either got to come on full time or I got to hire somebody. And I said, well, I've been here since the idea stage. Not that I really helped out a ton with that, but you had like bounced the idea off me. I thought it was a great idea. I would have to see this thing through. And if I didn't, then I would have been kicking myself right now. And it's like it was one of those risks too, where it's like this brand new channel company, like, can things like this generate money? Can I make a living off this for the next? Because whenever I go into something, I'm in it for the long haul. And I would have been in with PRX for the long haul, but this opportunity presented itself. And talked to the wife. She's like, hey, I think you should just go for it. I mean, I was young at the time. We didn't have kids. I had no responsibilities. Just had to make sure my stuff was paid for. And we went ahead and did it. And here we are, probably 6.5 years later. And we're still going strong.
How long did it take for the You Betcha channel to take off?
I mean,
this isn't how it always works, but probably like 2 months.
wow.
That's
because
crazy.
it was the Bush Light versus Spotted Cow video, right? And I can't remember exactly what month he posted that in, but we were even talking the other day. He's like, isn't it crazy that this whole thing was just like, it started with one video? And I think like the video we've had, if you guys have seen Husbands of Target,
Yes.
it's one of the most iconic You Betcha videos, collabed with 3 other creators. It has like 50 to 60 million views overall, like on Facebook. And the first video that kind of really set things off was the Bush Light versus Spotted Cow, more of like a sarcastic review. Obviously, like he was going to go with the Bush Light, and he ended up spitting the Spotted Cow out. And then everyone in the comments is just going crazy about it. And I think the video hit like 1 million views, which now it's great if we hit that now, but that's not even the bar right now. But back then, when it was his first video to pop off, he started to get a little bit of Facebook ad revenue. He's like, shit, this could like be I could do this full time. And that's always what he intended for it to be. It just happened a lot quicker than he thought it was going to. So not every channel is going to take off in a couple months, but he just had hit the exact, like, things just worked out exactly as they were supposed to.
I feel like there was a perfect void where there was like no content like that, like relatable content for people in the Midwest, and like you guys filled that perfectly. Like, I got to say, I've been watching for a long time, and like those clips, first of all, they get insane amounts of views because people find them relatable and funny, but like they're just hilarious, man. So good on you guys for that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's super cool. One of the first times I started watching You Betcha was around the time when you guys got your pictures out on Fleet Farm. Fleet Farm.
Yep.
Yeah, and I'd bring my dad and I'd be like, those guys are from YouTube. Those guys are on TikTok. He's like, who are these guys? And then I showed him some of your guys' content, and he liked it too. So I think that's another thing.
Yeah.
It's not like it's just targeting teens. Anyone from the Midwest relates, and then anyone who isn't a part of the Midwest is like, is that what you guys do?
Yeah. No, it's kind of funny too, because like your dad is like the target, like almost like the target demo. For like the teenagers, because Miles, he used to be a big burly guy, so he kind of looked like a dad, and I mean he was doing dad content way before he was even a dad. So he was just like playing the part, and it was really based off of just like shit that his dad used to do.
Right. So like people our age can almost look at it and be like, oh, my parents
My
do
dad
that.
used to do that. Yeah. Hey, Dad, check this out. This is it. Like, you can never figure the remote out. This is like this is you exactly.
Right. Yep.
So yeah, it's well, and the nice thing too is like the older demo. Like I don't know. There's not a lot of pages or channels out there that relate to the older demo. It's like it's the older teenagers in the low 20s who are like getting all of the comedy that fits right in with their age group, but the dads weren't getting anything. So it like really hitting that character hard and just like pumping it out. And especially it was a great time for Facebook too, in terms of like ad revenue and all that. So that's like where we had focused the most of our efforts, or the most of his efforts were Facebook. It was like 3+ minute videos that we're going to monetize. And it's like the dad character and just relatability of the Midwest. And people also love Busch Light. So like he also loves Busch Light. So it was like, it was this perfect combination.
Didn't you have a partnership with Busch Light? Is that right? Or no?
Yep. I mean, for the longest time, we never got paid from them. And everyone's
Really?
like, well, yeah, you guys are, no wonder you're pumping out so much Busch Light content, is because they're paying you to do it. It's like, dude, no one gave us a dime for years. But it's related. Like people in the Midwest love Busch Light. So it's like, wow, why do we need to get paid to promote, we weren't even promoting it really. We were just like, that's part of the lifestyle. So that's what we were leaning into. And that's also what he's drinking Busch Light. So it matched up perfectly.
So like, how much of a role do you have in like actually designing the shirts now? Or like, what do you do as far as that?
Zero. Yeah, I'm not a designer at all. So Miles is actually a really good designer. And if you look at some of our merchandise, it's like, well, like a 5th grader could design that. But it's like, hey, there's always a purpose behind it. It's like, we don't want some like high-end looking lavish design on the front and back of a t-shirt. It's like, that's not who we're trying to sell to. So he's really good at designing for the people that we're selling to. And then we kind of pass it off to one of our main videographers is also a really good designer. So we kind of pass things off to him. So what I do is I pretty much just facilitate the entire, like if we're doing a Black Friday launch, for instance, I facilitate like that entire launch, and that's checking in on the designer to make sure things are up to speed, and we're like hitting deadlines on when we need like first proof, second proof, whatever, all the way down to like the warehouse, our warehouse employees who are burning the screens for the screen printer. They're mixing the correct color of inks. I'm ordering in X amount of blank shirts and what colors those are on and all that. So I'm doing all the facilitating and like just following up, checking in with people who are kind of, they're like in the mud doing it. I'm just kind of making sure that everything is going smoothly.
And now how did that deal with Fleet Farm come about where your merchandise was being sold? Because I have a lot of friends who like rep this stuff all the time. So just wanted to ask how that happened and how much involvement you had in it.
Yeah. So kind of what we like to do is like when we get brand deals so all the brand deals start with content, and then we always try and if it fits the mold, we'll parlay a merchandise deal in with a brand deal. It's like, hey, because we're going to be promoting your brand, like it would make sense to have our merchandise in your store so people can connect the dots even further versus just seeing a video on the internet. So, I mean, my involvement with it, my involvement was pretty easy because like the brand deal was done. Now it's like, okay, let's hop on the phone with whoever deals with the merchandise, and we'll talk numbers, we'll talk quantities, we'll talk designs, whatever that may be. And that's kind of a long process too, because it's like you want to make sure they're getting your best-selling designs on the best colors, and there's 50 to 100 stores that you have to stock. So even that's not really too complicated because they can pretty much just send you whatever they want. Now, in terms of production-wise, I would say it was most difficult production-wise because we're an e-commerce brand, so we're let's say on average, we're grabbing one shirt from the shelf. We're putting it in, we're putting in the package, putting a shipping label on, we're shipping it out. Well, this is way different because you have to tag every shirt for retail so they can scan the barcode. You have to put it in like a clear poly bag, if you will, just for shipping purposes. And then you have to put exact quantities inside of the box. And you might have 16 boxes on one pallet. There might be 11 pallets. It's like the logistics wise of the production. That was probably the most difficult part to figure out. But with the team we got, it was pretty seamless.
So you create a lot of content every single week. Do you ever feel burned out?
Not really. I think it just goes back to I just loving what I do. every kid nowadays wants to be a YouTuber. It's like, hey, before they wanted to be a doctor or a firefighter or a lawyer or whatever. And now kids want to be YouTubers. And I wouldn't call myself a YouTuber because it's not even our biggest platform. But in a sense, it's like, hey, I'm doing what all these I'm a 31-year-old guy doing what all these like 12 to 15, 16-year-olds want to do. And I will say, like, it is, I mean, don't get me wrong. There are stressful times. It's a job. It's not, pardon my French, it's not a fuck off session every time we go in there. But at the same time, we have a lot of fun doing it. And, there's only been a couple times of burnout. And I think that's probably when I was working 2 jobs, having to get home to my, at that time, fiance, who's my now wife, getting home at 11 p.m. after, I left at 8 a.m. in the morning. But the entire time I knew things were going to fall in the right place to where it was all going to work itself out. So I wasn't going to be working 16 hours a day for my entire life. It was so short term. And had I not, pulled those hours, Miles, he would have just found someone else who would have been able to do it. And then I'd still be working a good job, but I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing today.
So you talk about how kids, especially our age and a little bit younger, look at you and are like, that's what we want to do someday. So do you ever have people who run into you and know who you are? And how often does that happen?
For me, yes, I do. It's it's been super weird because, again, I'm not the main content guy. Like, if Miles were to go in downtown Fargo, he just get bombarded. People would be like, he'd have a case of beers in his hand from like this guy buying him one, that guy buying him one. For me, like, it's kind of a fun scenario for me because I just kind of get to sit back. I'm like the guy who takes the pictures. It's like, hey man, would you mind taking a picture of us?
Yeah.
Like, sure, yeah. Just give me your phone. I'll take the picture. So obviously, like, my stuff with Tyler in the Breakfast Ball channel is way, it's on a smaller scale, if you will, but there are definitely people that recognize us. I don't know, it probably happens a couple times a month. I actually love it though, because that gives me an opportunity. I love interacting with people, and that gives me an opportunity to interact with somebody who's like supporting us. And as like cliche as it sounds, like, if that person isn't watching our videos and there's, 50,000 of those people out there, then it's like, well, we don't really have the channel, the Breakfast Ball channel, like we do. So, genuinely, like, thankful for, like, even someone to, and I know sometimes it's hard to like want to randomly approach somebody and be like, hey, are you the guy? Like, are you the guy from Breakfast Ball? It's like, yeah, I am, dude. Thanks for coming to say hi. Like, I'm glad you did and didn't just like, snap a picture from behind the corner. So I like when people come up and say what's up. It happens a couple times. The first few times it was kind of weird. And I'd say I get recognized more when I'm with Miles because they put the You Betcha Radio, host, co-host connection together. And yeah, it's kind of cool though. There's been a couple times where my parents have been around and I've gotten recognized, and I think they probably think it's just like wild that like this person, say from like Pennsylvania, is like watching our stuff. I also think that's kind of wild that just like I'm not a recognizable guy. Miles is a very recognizable guy. I'm not. So like how do you even know who I was? It's kind of a weird phenomenon that I've had to get used to over the last couple of years. But yeah, it's cool.
Does it ever affect you? I mean, not that it's totally great that Miles gets recognized big time, but does it ever affect you because you started out with him? It's not like it was him and then you came on 2 years later.
Yep.
You started out with him. Does that ever affect you, or did it in the beginning maybe?
No, it's like I think is the question you're asking like, hey, do you think you should be getting recognized just as much?
Right. Well, it's like if you think about it, quote unquote spotlight, he does get the big spotlight.
I love that.
That's
I don't
awesome.
I don't really want to be. I don't really envy him. Like, sometimes like he has to make a decision. Like, do I want to go downtown Fargo with my buddies or not? Because like, it's just part of the job. And he kind of knew what he was getting himself into. But let's say you go out with your buddies and you have, 15, 20 people, which he loves. And he would do that as much as he can, but it gets exhausting, especially when you're trying to go out with your friends and enjoy time with them. I don't envy that a whole lot. He's really good at it, and that's why he's in that position. So there's never been there's been no hostility between the two. I'm like, dude, I'll stand behind you and take all the pictures you want. As long as you keep doing what you're doing, then that means I have a job, and that means that we're having fun together. So
that's awesome to hear, because like, even if I was in your position and had a good friend of mine who, took off and I was still part of it, sometimes it makes you think that, oh, what about me, But that is really cool to hear that that doesn't affect you, and it's cool to see that he gets that too. And it's not like he's any higher or lower than you. You played a big role in that as well, but that's cool.
Yeah, and I would say he is much higher than me. I mean, he owns the business, and I totally respect that. Like, I've gotten ass chewings from him before that it's not even like, well, I thought we were friends. It's like, no, it's like, hey, you brought me along for the ride. I just happened to be, we call it luck. I got lucky with meeting him at the right time and having similar interests and knowing how to print a T-shirt on a heat press. Like, had I not known how to do that, I would never. He wouldn't have brought me with. So even to this day, I'm like, I'm very thankful that he chose me to bring me along for this ride. But I also there's still the separation between. So I would say one thing I'm really good at is separating business from personal relationships. So if I deserve an ass chewing and I get one, that's fine, because my dad used to chew my ass when I was younger because I probably deserved it. That's just like, hey, I know you could do better at this. So let's fix the mistake and let's not make it again. Totally get it. There's no hard feelings or anything like that, and there's no hostility of well, I'm just in the shadows. I kind of like being in the shadows, so I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot.
All right, we got some rapid fire questions for you, so kind of try and answer them quick.
Okay, it's hard for me to. I'd love chatting. I'll do the best I can.
No problem. We'll get into more topics after, but we just kind of wanted to break it up.
Yep.
And so, okay, I'm just gonna ask the question and then Who's your favorite person that you've been able to meet while working at You Betcha?
Probably Hardy.
Wow. Okay.
Or Ernest. Ernest is an awesome dude. We met him before WeFest. He came to Miles's Lake at a boat day before their show. And then he got us, in the pit for Morgan Wallen. So that's, he's a great dude.
So this is tough for me too, because now I want to ask questions about that.
Yeah.
Charlie, because I know you guys met the Sea-Boys too and that stuff.
Yep. Met the Sea-Boys. we did it, and I know rapid fire, but
honestly, screw the rapid fire.
This is our first time doing it too.
Throw away rapid fire. Go ahead.
We did You Betcha Palooza the first year. I think it was the first year. We only did it 2 years. One of the 2 years. CJ from the Sea-Boys came. We had it in the middle of Detroit Lakes, straight out from Zorba's, where we had the ice bar, cornhole tournament with $1,000 prize at the end, selling merchandise. It was an overall good time. He ended up coming out there, and I chatted with him a little bit, and then it's probably 2 or 3 years later where we finally were like, hey, I think he reached out and said, can we get Miles on the podcast? So I facilitated that whole thing, and it hasn't it's not like we're texting every day, but if I were to see him in person, it'd be friendly, and they're good guys over there. They got some really cool stuff. They just, I'm a t-shirt guy. They just built a whole new merchandise shop, which is sweet. Mm-hmm. So yeah, the good guys over there. And then, it's, we've met some really cool people along the way. Charlie Barons. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Charlie. Yep. He's the funniest human on planet Earth. So just getting to meet him, and I've been able to have, to be a part of some normal person conversations with him. It's not the fan to celebrity type thing. It's just Charlie as a human, and he's still he's a stand-up comic just in his regular day life, and the comedy that he brings to conversations. So yeah.
Perfect. So what was your least favorite video to film while working at You Betcha? Do you have a least favorite?
In terms of video that I was in, or
anything you've been a part of where it's man, I just wish we would have never posted that.
Yeah, the video I get the most shit for is it was a video called Midwest ASMR.
Oh,
And it was like
gosh.
Eating like piece of Casey's pizza and like cracking a beer. It was just like it's ASMR. It's like Busch Light, Casey's pizza. Can't even remember what else there was. I'm like, dude, this is gonna be a banger idea, and it was like fully my idea. I didn't like write the script or anything, but I presented the idea. They liked it. They wrote the script, shot it, and then it totally flopped. And so like they won't let me live that one down even and that was probably in 2019.
Wow.
And they still haven't let me live that down from here on out. So that's okay though. That's the dynamic we have in the office. Like you give me shit about Midwest ASMR all you want. Like that's on me, right? that one's on me.
What's your favorite then?
Probably Husbands of Target. Weirdly enough, I was there for this. Like they shot 2 different days. They just like picked a random target in Los Angeles, like outside of Los Angeles. So I ended up flying in the second day because we were filming with Trevor Wallace. I don't know if you guys are familiar with Trevor Wallace. Stand-up comic.
That sounds so
sketch
familiar.
comedy on the internet. If you look him up,
He does like
Turleys.
He does a lot of skit stuff,
Yep.
videos. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. Like frat boy stuff.
Yep.
Yeah,
Exactly.
Yep.
So I don't even know why I was going to that. Well, at that point, it was just Miles, myself, and then Miles' now wife who was filming the videos. So I got in on the second day of Husbands of Target, and if you guys have seen Husbands of Target, I make like a 2-second cameo in that video. It's got 50 to 60 million views. So that's like my one claim to fame, but that was a pretty fun video.
So all of your podcasts that you are a part of, because you do 2 podcasts, correct, right now?
We do 3 technically. So it's You Betcha Radio. It's You Betcha Radio Patreon, which is our paid subscription podcast. We do that once a week, and then Breakfast Ball.
And
So
that's
3 a week.
all a part of the You Betcha platform,
Yep.
network.
Yep. So You Betcha is the parent company of everything that we do. So Miles owns Breakfast Ball, just like Barstool used to own Call Her Daddy. Similar situation. So. Yeah, some people like it gets confusing because they think that we're just off on our own. It's like, well, if we need to go on a golf trip to shoot videos or something, like You Betcha pays for that. So
Sure. So how do you come up with some of those like themes or topics for each one of those not podcasts? I guess a podcast too, but you have to have those relatable golf clips that blow up to get popularity for it and everything. So how do you come up with those ideas?
Yeah, those have gotten it's gotten much easier to come up with different segment ideas in the golf world. I think we just filmed episode 207 this week. So Tyler and we've had a lot of time to chat with each other in 207 episodes. So we pretty much just we film on Wednesday mornings and then we post on Thursday. We pretty much on Wednesday, we just revert back to the previous weekend. Like, did anybody golf? Did anything happen? It could be the smallest thing too that we could blow up into like a 15-minute segment or what have you. So we've gotten pretty good at kind of like I don't know if this is the right word, but like over dramatizing small situations to make them big deals.
Yep.
And I think that's helped us a lot because, like I was telling you guys beforehand, it's hard from November to end of March at least, when all you can do is play simulator golf. So we've gotten pretty good at just taking like the most random things. And dude, there's a lot of times where it's like, that was just dumb to talk about. Like the clip's not going to do well. And that really doesn't matter. At least we're consistent. We're putting on an episode a week. And we know that the next week, like, hey, we could have a 1 million view clip next week. So, it was tough right away, but now it's like, we literally just sit down in our chairs and be like, all right, what do you guys want to talk about this week? And it's like, well, Trevor, did you golf? Tyler, I golfed. I got a quick story. So I may take a 5-minute story, something that could be summed up in 5 minutes, and make it 20 minutes long.
So golf, what's the best you've ever golfed?
My best score, people are going to be like, there's no fucking way so my best score is 77.
Dang.
I've broken 80 4 or 5 times. I'm I'm a solid. I mean, my on my phone app, my handicap says I'm like an 8.2, but I'd say I'm like a 10 or 11. So yeah, 77 is the best score.
You're not beating me at the Boy to Sue though. I'll tell you that right now.
No, dude, it's been a long time since it's been a long
dude,
time.
I'm so bad. I'm
course,
just completely joking.
If you know the course, that's a huge advantage right there. It's all about course management.
Absolutely, dude. Over 200 episodes just with golf.
Mm-hmm.
Like I don't know how you can, like come up with new ideas.
We
all
say
the
the same
time.
thing. Yeah,
like it's unbelievable. So credits to you guys for that.
Yeah, thank you.
Do you know when like a clip is gonna pop off? Do you feel like have a feeling about it, or is it just like you have one? Because we've had it where we expect one to blow up,
Yep.
or like do better than the rest, and it doesn't, and then like one that we have no idea, like it's
We're
maybe.
the same. We're the same
thing.
way. Yeah. We have a pretty good idea because the clips that are going to, and golf's kind of a fun space, like a fun social media space to be in because everybody's got their golf buddies, right? So it's like what conversation in a clip is gonna make me send this video to my golf buddy
Right.
because it relates to him. So if we can get something like that or something that's going to spur like a bunch of comments, sometimes honestly, we'll just have outlandish takes about something in the world of golf that we know is just going to set the golf hardos off. And there's a lot of them. Like if you just go through our comments, you're like, geez, these guys are ruthless. And it's like, we like making fun of those people, number one. And like, number two, well, like, why are you even taking time to comment this? It's like, you probably shot 95 last time, but you think that you're like Tiger Woods, a swing coach.
Right.
So it's golf. So it's kind of a cutthroat space because everybody who's been golfing for a while thinks they know everything about golf, and any other opinion that gets thrown out, it's so wrong. It's like you don't even know what you're talking about with this clip, and we've gotten that so many times. But the more comments, and like I'll read the comment. There's a lot of people like, dude, I never read the comments because it just doesn't do well for my mental. Like I read a lot of the comments because I just don't even care anymore about if someone says like, I don't even know what I'm doing, or like, how do these two jabronis have their own golf pod? It's like, oh, great, 2 more guys starting a golf podcast.
Right.
It's like, that doesn't even bother me at all.
Dude, we had a comment on one of our first clips. I was like, two kids talking in daddy's garage about nothing, and I was like, dang,
What did he call us? Industry?
And he called us an industry plant too because we have giant sponsors.
Gotcha.
Like, dude, that's wild. It's not like I definitely didn't have to put in any work to get this. They just gave me Yeah, it's like whatever.
Yeah, you have
it was
to have,
pretty funny. It was funny to see.
Yeah.
He rents this space. It's not our dad's.
Yep.
No, but I was gonna ask you this question. Like you said, golf blew up in 2020, like around COVID, and so it's a lot of people who might not have as much respect for the game. Maybe like, are you one of those guys that's like shrink the game? Let's have these, strict rules, like dress up every time, like all that kind of stuff. Or are you more relaxed? Like, where are you at with that?
I guess it just depends on the day because I can flip flop between the two pretty easily. Like if I'm out playing a 5-hour round of 18 holes, I'm like, we gotta shrink this game. But at the same time, it's like it's cool to see people getting out and trying out golf. It's like I understand if you've golfed 20 times in your life, you're probably still pretty dog shit.
Right.
But that's 95% of the population. So it's like if we shrunk the game, then we would just have like the old timer hardo golfers in this space, which is like those guys are. It's like
lame.
Yeah, exactly. These guys are lame. It's like, why would I want to represent a space of people like that, right? So the people that we're representing are like the people who have golfed maybe only for a couple years, or like are getting out for their first time, or like had kids, took a break for a while, and then are just like picking it back up 5 years later, or what have you. Because that's kind of, Tyler and I started golfing consistently only like 2020, like 4 years ago. So we're pretty fresh into it too. Granted, like we're athletes, we're high school, college athletes. Like there's a little bit that translates over. So like our progression was a little bit quicker than someone who's just like looking for something new and fun to do on the weekends as a 30 to 40-year-old, whatever it may be. So those are the cool people that we like to represent, and that's why it's fun to like make fun of just like the good old boys club, and is what golf kind of used to be.
So what's your go-to breakfast before 7 a.m. tea time?
Nothing.
Nothing.
No, I don't eat. I don't know. I have
No Casey's breakfast pizza?
It depends on. I'm usually like really cutting things close to the tea time. Anyway.
Sure.
Because I'll like sleep till the very last minute that I have to get up. So, I just load up on some caffeine beforehand, carry that into the first 9 holes, and then maybe like get a coffee at the turn. But yeah, I'm like, yeah, it's so bad for me. But like just caffeine and no food until like noon or 1 p.m.
So
we call it fasting, though. You know, fasting's the big thing in like the diet fitness industry. It's like, I'm just fasting till noon.
Who has the best golf swing on the Breakfast Balls podcast?
I mean, that's so easy. Myself.
Are they going to disagree with that?
Probably just because for the sake of the argument. Like, I don't know. For some reason, we just like to argue. I don't know. It's like we have such a good dynamic. Is like it's like your buddies in high school. Like you can't give them credit for anything good that they do, but deep down you're like pumped and excited if they do something good. So I would. I mean, objectively, I have the best swing. Now I'm still gonna shoot 85, 86, 87, probably 95% of the rounds. But Tyler refuses to get better. He has like this old man stubbornness where like we want him to get better and we know he can, but he just refuses to because we want him to. That's his holdup. Jake has only been golfing for a couple years, and he was a swimmer, so I don't know if I'd call him the most athletic person on planet Earth. And then another co-host of ours, Trevor. I would say, Trevor's got a pretty decent swing, but he's only been golfing for a couple years too. I'd say myself or Trevor. It would go either way. I think it depends on the day.
Rule number 1 is you never admit that your buddy's better than you at anything, especially golf.
At anything. And that's just like, you have good friends when you don't want to give them credit for anything.
Right.
So does your wife ever get annoyed that you're out golfing all the time with your buddies?
Well, so now that I have a child, I have a 2-year-old boy.
Congratulations.
Thank you. She understands that it's like, if I want something, if I want the potential of something to talk about this next week, like I'm going to go out and play 1 round, and I only play 1 round a week. I'd play 2 rounds at most, but that's like maybe once a month I'll play 2 rounds in a week. It's usually like Saturday morning. I try and book like the earliest tee time I can, get home by noon, like 11:30 or noon, and then I have the whole rest of the day to play with my little guy or do whatever. So, and that's probably why I'm not that good still, is because I only golf once a week. It's like, if you want to be a good basketball player, you're not just going to shoot hoops once a week. You're going to play every day. I don't have the capability to do that, nor do I really want to. I'd rather be home with my family. But yeah, I really only play once a week. So she's cool with it. She wants me, the ongoing like argument between us two is like, she wants to go golfing too.
Sure.
But number one, I have to mentally prepare myself to go, because like she's the type of person where she'll get upset at herself that she's not playing well. It's like, well, like you have to understand, you only play like 3 times a summer, so you're just naturally not going to be that good at anything if you do that. And then it's like, golf is like my time to get away and like enjoy some time with my buddies, Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's one of those hobbies that, it's one of my hobbies that she also kind of wants to share. It's a bit tough though. We try and get out once or twice a summer. But yeah, she's cool. She's cool with me going out.
It's kind of funny that some people, it's like the ongoing joke that like, oh honey, I'm going to go work, but really they go and golf.
Yeah.
But golf
that
is
your
actually
work.
your work.
Yeah. It's like, it's this weird thing where it's like, hey, like I know, hey, Tyler's got a wedding this weekend, or he's going to be out of town, so he's probably not going to be able to golf. So I should probably go out just so I have something to talk about,
Right.
So it is work. And again, I have like, it's not even like it's like a part-time job within my actual job. So it's tough to go out Monday through Friday. So like Saturday or Sunday's got to be the day.
So like how much effort, not effort necessarily, but like time are you able to devote towards that towards Breakfast Balls versus your other pages?
You mean like my other job?
Yeah.
Because I don't do the only like content that I'm like I'll have a cameo in a video, You Betcha video or whatever if they need another guy. But the only like You Betcha content I'm in is the podcast. So, we do our regular You Betcha Radio episode, and then we do the Patreon episode. So it's like 2 to 3 hours a week of that. And then I would say 90% of my time is devoted towards like the merchandise side of my job. And then the other, probably 8 to 10% is devoted to Breakfast Ball. Sure. So it's not much time at all. And like I said, if it was a 20-hour a week type job, I think we'd be a lot farther than we are. But it's bringing in money for us for the company. And that's a huge benefit to keeping the page going. It's like, why would, Miles wouldn't want to pay for something that's taking us away from our main jobs, not generating any income. So, it's like a 90-10 split, I would say.
So you mentioned you got to go to Los Angeles for one of your videos. Where else have you been able to travel to film?
Yeah, they kind of dropped me off the travel list a couple of years ago, which is fine, which is fine because back in the day when we would travel, if we were gone for 4 days, we'd just be like drinking and lack of sleep for 4 days straight, and it got pretty exhausting. So, it got to a point where like there was no need to spend money on me traveling to do nothing, because all my job is like the warehouse and the screen printers and inventory and all that type of stuff. So I got dropped a couple of years ago, but right like when it was me and Miles, like he wanted someone to travel with, So I would get to go to, we've been LA, Missouri, Iowa. I haven't been to Nashville yet with these guys, which would be a really fun trip.
If those guys are listening, take a hint right there.
I'll give them shit about that. Like, oh God,
Nashville would just be so fun.
Been wanting to go to Nashville lately. You guys are going in a couple months, so Nashville would be a fun trip. God, where else have I been? I feel like I've been a couple other spots. Florida. I don't think I've been to Florida. Tyler and I have been to Arizona. We went to the Waste Management Open a couple years ago. But it's been pretty like Midwest based. It's like your core Midwest states that I've been able to go to, but not even like traveling a whole lot. It's like the people, because when we travel, usually we're either going to like meet up with Charlie or Dude Dad or these other creators. So like it's not even about where we're going. It's about like who we get to meet and converse with and all that. So
you have a lot of different parts with your job. You have the podcast, you have helping running the warehouse. What is your favorite part, and what's your least favorite part?
Huge thank you to today's sponsor, Giant Snacks. Giants is a small family-owned business that specializes in premium flavor and giant snack sizes.
From sunflower seeds, pistachios, pumpkin seeds, and cashews, Giants has all the great snacks you need.
Don't forget some of the great flavors that they offer between dill pickle and sweet Thai chili.
Or whatever craving you have.
Check out some of the newest flavors coming to a store near you this fall.
Big Easy cashews and Big Easy sunflower seeds.
Available soon online or at a store near you. Once again, huge thank you to Giant Snacks for sponsoring this podcast.
Now let's get back to the podcast.
I'd say the podcast is for sure my favorite part, because God, we've done it for so long, and we're like, it's just, at this point now there's structure and there's like material to the podcast that like relate, like that we bring up so it relates to more people, but it's kind of just guys shooting the shit, which is it's fun, and it's like shooting a shit in the sense of good podcast content. Like if we were to record like me and my buddies just like shooting the breeze on someone's patio, that's not podcast content. That's just like good bullshit with your buddies. But this is like good bullshit with your buddies that also does good on a long form podcast. So I would say that's my favorite part. My least favorite part, that's tough. Again, I enjoy my job, so there's not a whole lot of least favorite parts. I'd probably say Black Friday.
Sure.
Just, you're just like, you're working more hours. everything's under like a time crunch. Like you got to get stuff to people before Christmas. So if you run a Black Friday deal until like early December, the postage or the post office is slammed. It's like, are these orders going to be able to get to the customers in time? Because if they don't, then we're going to hear about it, as we should, and it's not going to make as good of an experience. So just having like that in the back of my mind of like, I like working quick and under pressure, but once the package leaves our warehouse, it's out of our control. There's nothing I can do about it. So
I want to mention about Black Friday, like your stuff's already cheap. Like your t-shirts are $20 a piece. I took a look at the website and like everyone else is selling $35, $40 for a t-shirt.
Yeah.
So like I can't imagine like how many orders you guys get through around that time.
it gets pretty wild. I mean, there's like,
Do you know the number of?
I mean, it varies every year. Like, there's been Black Fridays where we've probably sent out like 10,000 orders.
Wow.
In the matter of a month. But we'll pull people in at like Miles's wife will come in and pack, and Miles's cousin will come in and pack orders. And a couple years ago, like my wife was packing orders, and Miles's mom and dad were packing orders. And now that we have more staff, the content guys, our video editors, they'll come down and pack orders. And it's kind of like just throw some good music on, and everyone just kind of goes their separate ways and does their duties and whatnot. And I enjoy that atmosphere because I like to work quick. But it throws a whole different wrench in things when you're on that type of time crunch.
So when you're doing your podcast, you said you have video editors. Like, do you have any involvement with the post-production, like the editing and all that kind of stuff? Or
Not really. No, that's like, I like, I'm not going to try and do somebody else's job if they're not going to come and try and do my job. They're the experts at video editing. So if there's something blatantly obvious or like, hey, I remember I said this, I think like this might go really good. More so just like make suggestions. But I know they're going to make the best final decision at the end of it because these are the guys that are editing videos that are getting millions of views. So
right.
I've never edited a 1 million view video. I've been a part of them. I've been in them. But the post-production guys like, hey, like the formula is laid out for you because we've done it however many times, and you're the best person for that job. I'm not going to be able to squeeze out another 10,000 views or 1 million views with this small edit I made. So I leave that to them.
Have you always been that way, or were you involved in that in the beginning?
No, I'd be a terrible video editor. Like when I was editing my own videos at PRX, like they were dog shit. And like I'll be the first to admit that, which is why I went out and hired a videographer. Because if I'm not good at something, I'll find somebody who is. So I'll stick to the stuff that I'm good at, and I won't intrude on other people's work and the stuff that they're good at.
Is there any crazy stories or anything you just want to get out there that you would think listeners would like to know? Maybe something about you Betcha that people don't know.
I think I already touched on this earlier, but I think it's important to touch on it again. Is that there's a lot of people who like they don't understand the social media space and how there are tens of hundreds of thousands of people that make really good livings off of making content. It's like, hey, let's eliminate all the content creators online and like, let's see people's like joy and happiness throughout the week just decline, because that's where all the attention's at, right? It's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, YouTube. So if you take that away from people, like sometimes, we get a lot of messages of people saying like, hey, I look forward to Wednesday mornings when You Betcha Radio comes out because, I work overnights or, I have to I'm on the road at 5 a.m. and it's like the best part of my week/day when I get to throw your guys' episode on and look forward to it every Wednesday, which is why we never miss a week of podcasting. Mm-hmm. So because we know that there's those blue collar guys out there who are looking forward to us putting out the next episode so that they have some enjoyment throughout the week. A lot of people, they're like, it'd be great to just sit around and drink beer with your buddies all day. It's like, we have done that a little bit in the past, but now that we're like, we've been a legitimate business for 5 years now. It's no longer just like me printing merchandise and Miles producing content. It's like we have an operations manager, we have a CEO, we have, Miles being the owner, we have 3 video editors, we have a content manager, we have 4 warehouse employees, and there's a lot of moving parts to this whole business. It's not just the videos you see online. So I think that's misrepresentation that we get a lot of the time is like people just take our videos for face value and think that's what we're doing. But it's like, no, we're like trying to put food on the table for 13, 14, 15 other people. So
Right. There's a lot more that comes with like these videos than people understand too.
for sure.
So
Yeah.
how does a person, so Aiden's in school full time, and then I'm detailing, I have my own business full time. Long term, I would love to be doing something like this.
Yep.
How does a person transition into something like this where I want to put more time to it, but it doesn't drive an income? What's your advice on like progressing to creating this to be a full-time job?
Yeah, I think there's obviously a lot of sacrifice that has to happen right away. Whether it's in my world, it was having to work 2 jobs. So I'd have my main like income generator being PRX, and then after that, I would do my side business. I'd go to the shop, I'd print T-shirts, and then for Miles, he would be, he'd start his day at like 10, 11 a.m., noon maybe. He's like, he's not, he used to not be an early riser, but he used to go to bed at 3 a.m. So
Sure.
he'd be up till 3 a.m. trying to think of like video ideas or what the next step is. So there was a lot of sacrifice in time from him on his side. And then, his is on a much more macro level because he had no other income generator. This is what he was doing. He was doing the freelance videography thing, and that slowly fizzled out when he was able to like support himself with You Betcha. But he sacrificed a lot of time to get to where we are. I'm sure he's spent a lot of money trying to get us to where we are. He's hired a lot of people, had a lot of sleepless nights. My sacrifice of time has been pretty easy because it's just been time itself. There's not a whole lot of times I've been like super stressed out about or anything. I kind of leave that up to him to do the stressing out. So yeah, I would say, there's gonna be moments where you might be working till 11 a.m., 12 a.m. You might be up till 2 a.m., whatever. You might start your next day at 8 a.m. But in order to like support yourself with what you're currently doing, and then wanting to build the content side of things into a full-time gig, you at some point, there's no timetable as to how long you're going to have to do both, but you will have to do both.
Right, and that's kind of what we're both doing now. What social media platform do you recommend that we push the hardest on, not only like financially, but also just for like getting the biggest growth? Because right now we post on Facebook Reels,
Yep.
Instagram, TikTok, YouTube Shorts. In the clips, we post 1 or 2 per day. Right now we have 2 per day coming out. And then we post a full version on Apple Podcasts, Spotify,
Sure.
and YouTube, and then like some Amazon Music, a couple
Yep.
other ones. Which one do you recommend that we like push the hardest on?
That's a tough question. I'd say all of them, because you're gonna get different audiences on every different platform, and they all mean something to what you guys are doing. Whether it's 100 on TikTok or 50,000 on Facebook. So in terms of income aside, let's just look at overall growth and followers, because having a bigger platform, it's naturally just going to generate more income, whether that's brand deals or ad revenue from the platform. I'd say TikTok is probably the easiest platform to grow on. Not that it's easy, but it's a lot more low-hanging fruit and lower effort, because TikTok is just a quick, low effort, like relatable attention grabber. Mm-hmm. So, we found like our success it started with Facebook and the 3-minute plus skip videos, because that's what was monetizable at that point. Whereas like you look at the C-Boys, those they hammer YouTube, and YouTube might pay better than Facebook, but we had figured out like the formula to Facebook, so that's why we kind of went all in on that. So if you're gonna pick one, I'd probably pick TikTok, because that's where especially your guys' demographic being 19 and 20.
Just 20.
20. That's where a majority of your guys' your fan base is going to be, your followers. Now for us, Facebook was easy because it's like if Miles was playing the dad character, the dads are on Facebook. They're not on TikTok. At that time they weren't on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter or whatever. Facebook was their jam, and we got lucky in hitting that at the right time.
Do you reproduce a lot of your videos too? Like you put the Facebook ones onto TikTok, onto YouTube,
Everywhere.
or is it so it's not like specific for a platform?
It may be like the edit might be a little bit different for each platform. Like TikTok might have a quicker punchline than say Facebook or Instagram, just because that's how the app works. So the videos damn near this, like you're gonna get the same punchline. It just may happen quicker on different platforms.
Or like you literally just put the hook, the first, like the best part of the video, the first 5 seconds of it, and then just like let the video play through and then replay the hook, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like,
It's
that's
the
how
teaser.
TikTok
It's the
is.
teaser at
Yeah.
the beginner. So it's like yes, you've seen the hook within the first 3 seconds,
Right.
but then you're gonna get the context before the hook, after the hook. I get what you're saying.
Yeah,
Yep.
like it
Yep.
makes no sense, and it's like kind of confusing for everybody, but for some reason that just gets the most views and attention.
Yeah, because I
So.
mean, if you like, do you guys watch Nelk?
Yeah,
Nelk
big
boys?
Nelk fans,
Do you
yeah.
watch Full Send Golf?
Yeah, yep.
So I don't know if you saw the Bob Menery versus Kyle
Last night, it got posted, yeah.
the match yesterday.
Yep.
So like the first, whatever it was, minute of that video was like the celebrations and the shit talk that happened during the match. So like those are your hooks right there to get people excited and want to watch until they see each hook they saw right away. So like when Kyle celebrated on number 8 on his putt on 18, spoiler alert, you saw that putt within the first minute of the video, but you didn't know what hole that putt was on, so you had to watch the whole thing through in order to see where that came. And
Right.
it happened to be the winning putt. Spoiler alert.
That was a wild putt, by
It
the
was,
way.
yeah, it was crazy.
Wild 18th hole.
Yeah.
When did you guys figure that out within your podcasts and stuff? Like, how did you guys figure out, okay, this is what we need. We need this type of camera equipment. We need...
Like the formula, or
Yeah, just kind of like... Because you've been doing podcasts for how long?
Since 2019.
And
beginning of 2019.
And when did the growth start kicking in?
Probably, let's see. It probably took us a year, for sure, because like TikTok wasn't even a thing at that point. It was
Right.
Musical.ly, and so I think TikTok started to pop off in like 2021, maybe. So it was purely like there really wasn't, like, we didn't even think about our short, like, banger clips from the podcast in short form. But then when TikTok started to become a thing, then we started a new page for You Betcha Radio, so it didn't like dilute the You Betcha page away from the comedy and how that was grown. So the clips started to get important probably like a year and a half after we even started. So it really was like using our main Facebook page to push the entire podcast versus just using like short clips on You Betcha Radio's own social media page to push the podcast that way. So,
okay, I got something completely off the cuff. Haven't discussed this with Aiden or anything, but I got a question for you.
okay.
So, would you be down? You're a good golfer. We're both decent golfers. Would you be down to do a 2v1 match either in Fargo or the Boy de Sioux? We can put a little action on it somehow. I got a buddy who's a videographer. He'll come film it. We'll make some content out of it. Would you be down to do that challenge against us?
What are you guys going to shoot on a normal round? Are you guys scrambling?
Yeah, we'll scramble.
That makes it tougher.
I would shoot. I'm typically like 90, a little above 90.
Okay.
I really need to practice. I do
So
not.
like 100,
I never-
110.
To be honest, I don't even know. I haven't golfed since last year.
Okay, so
now
he
you
gets
know,
Jack
right.
at that point.
Yeah, I know. It's for real.
He'll
We'd be
hit a
lucky if
couple.
I hit it.
He'll hit a couple clutch putts though.
Yeah. What kind of action are we talking?
Dude, I don't know. We'd have to think about that. What do you have any ideas what to put on this game? Man, I don't even know what we could like give
Like, we
you,
talking
though,
money?
so
Or are
it's
we
tough.
talking like a free detail? Or
Okay, how about this? Man, we got to figure out what we want, but if we lose, I'll give you a free detail in your car, a whole free detail. We got to. Do you have
That
anything
works
to
for
offer?
me because I don't got to do anything.
Oh, you'll be there helping my ass. I'll tell you that right now.
God, what do I mean, I can clean a car pretty good, but not as good as you. We can think of something.
Okay.
I mean, my mind, because I always pay for money on the golf course. My first thought is like, I have money to offer. I'm not like not that I'm rich by any means, but that's how I play golf. So we can maybe, let's see, we can game something.
Okay. We'll
how
come
much
up
does
with something.
How much does a detail cost?
What kind of car do you have?
2020 Chevy Trail Boss.
Trail Boss. Is that a trim of a pickup? Am I tweaking? What's a Trail Boss?
It is the equivalent of the GMC AT4, but in Chevy.
Got you. Okay.
I'm not a car guy, so I could be completely wrong, but that's how I see
So
it.
it's 175, and then if I shampoo the carpets, it's another 40. So 215 total.
Okay, so we could just do 215 for.
Let's do it.
Okay.
Okay.
Because then you get
shake on it.
Beautiful.
Because then you get, it's essentially like you're getting paid for detail when you don't even have to detail a car.
There we go.
So
Hell yeah. We'll have to plan that out, get a time to do that.
Okay.
We're down to do it, Boyd to Sioux or up in Fargo too. So
yeah, and if I maybe want something different than a free detail or something additional, I'll let you know.
perfect. Yeah, we'll adjust from there. I'll be honest, I don't know if we have a chance, but we'll definitely
Well, you can
give
pick
it
the
a
course
try.
then. I'll let you pick the course.
Boyd to
'Cause
Sioux.
if-
Yeah.
Okay.
Boyd to Sioux.
Yeah, because if I pick the course, I'll just pick the course that I just know the best.
Sure.
And then I have the full advantage.
We'll get
The
Noah-
home course advantage. It matters. So
Yeah.
if I can make it down on a weekend, we'll make it happen.
Perfect.
Yep.
That sounds awesome. And we got some time too. I have a buddy named Noah. He has Cluton Films who does like a whole does a
I know
whole
Noah.
bunch. You do? How do you know Noah?
Not personally,
Right.
but
Know of him.
like I was in the Wapton Legion, the documentary that they did
Yes.
last year.
Yep.
And him and Robert Wannick, they were. I mean, Robert and Madison did a majority of the filming. Noah helped a lot too, so I met him a couple times.
He's done a lot of video for my business, the detailing page
Yep.
there, and so I've enjoyed doing content, and so like having him a part of the team has been sweet. But we even just took a bunch of photos and videos golfing. But we'll have him come with and film the whole thing, like
Tight.
get a good video about it. So
Yeah.
we'll post that on our podcast channel too, and
When
whatever content you want to use from it too. Of
Sure.
course.
When it comes to detailing, in terms of the content that you produce for detailing, because I know you don't post as much content for your detailing business as you do for the podcast naturally.
Right.
What do you think of when you're thinking of content for a detailing business?
There's a lot of different stuff with like the majority of it is just before and afters. I feel like around here people are pretty plain about it where, you know, if they get a good detail, it's like they're just going to come back. They don't really care too much about the social media game.
Yep.
I have over 1,000 followers, which is big for a town of this
It's
size.
huge, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And like I'm busy enough where I don't have to worry too much about marketing. Like I haven't had a day where I'm like, dang, I don't have a car scheduled for today. I haven't had that in like over a year.
Nice.
Been blessed to have that.
That's huge.
At the same time, I can't do as many now that my employee's back in high school. So maybe I would have ran into that problem and then I would have had to market. But anyways, a lot of it is before and afters, but there is content that could be made where it could become profitable on Facebook or Instagram because there's a lot of people who are detailers that love watching stuff about detailing.
It's like the satisfying, like the cleaning
Right.
videos are satisfying. In that lane, like that's a satisfying video to watch. Where do you want to get, like, what's your goal with your business? Do you want to grow it to like 50 employees or like, do you want to move to a bigger city? I know I had seen something a couple days ago about like what your future vision is, but like, what is that exactly?
Honestly, I don't know. It just depends upon where we sit with this project. I'm out of here in August, so we'll have to find a different spot to be. But to be honest, this area could definitely use me. Like the market, like it's proven that it needs another detailer around here, and so like I could continue to grow this to like the biggest size it can be in this area, if that makes sense. Like top it out and then add another location somewhere.
Yep.
Which I could totally see myself doing, but that just involves pretty much going head on with that project, which is not what I want to do. Personally, like I would prefer to do something for sure in content creation over owning a detailing business.
Sure.
Which one is more financially smart, short-term detailing because it's already all set up, but long-term, I feel like content creation has a huge opportunity for money, I guess you could just say. So income, yeah.
Now, are you a good detailer that is just forced to have to deal with the business side of things, or are you more of a business guy who is good at detailing? Business,
okay, for sure. I definitely enjoy business a lot more,
and that's good that you recognize that too, because sometimes people for me, I understood that I'm not the best manager of people, because I always think that people should. Sometimes I think too much that people should do things like how I do them, or that people should work as quick as I do, or as efficient as I try and do,
or care as much as you do.
Correct,
too.
or care as much. That's the biggest thing too. Is why don't you care as much as I do? It's like, well, I understand. I've been here much longer, and I have a lot more riding on this than someone who just wants an hourly paid job, which is completely fine. So yeah, I realize I would say I'm more of like a technician. I would say I'm really good at fast-paced warehouse work, where I'm good at office work, but it's not like my cup of tea, and managing people is not my cup of tea. So when I was doing that, thankfully, we've been able to hand that off to someone else because of the recognition of hey, I think someone else would be much better at managing people than I would be, which is why, and I kind of, being a project manager, if you will, is a much better lane for me in this business, in just the You Betcha umbrella, than telling this person what to do or telling that person what to do, because I'm just not good at that. So being able to recognize that you're a good business guy versus a good detailer or a technician, that's huge, especially for how young you are.
It's also been fun. Thank you. I appreciate those words, by the way. But it's been really fun to find what I enjoy and what I don't enjoy in business too, where first of all, I know I don't love detailing the car.
Yep.
I like the other side of it more. I'd love to put more time towards it. But my thing is I'm not an accountant. I do not like doing the accounting for it.
Yeah.
That's already tough. I'm really marketing, connecting with employees, or not employees, customers, and building relationships with them, and then finding ways to scale it and make it way bigger. How can I take this? I wish I could have a person here running this full time, managing this position, my position, and having an employee while I just figure out how the heck I grow it even more.
Yeah, there's definitely that sticking point of all right, do you need to hire somebody else? Do you need to what do you got to do? What's the next phase of bringing a detailing business, outside of a town of 8,000 people, or a twin town of 15,000 people, whatever that may be. You got some decisions to make. I don't envy people like you, because I would not be good at making those decisions.
Right.
So
it's do I throw this all away, what I've been building, and go work for someone else, or do I continue to grow it?
Yeah. Yep.
But it's not throwing it away too, because I feel like I've lived it out too. So
yeah, I mean, and you've got to experience it.
Right.
When I was in college, I wanted to work in sports, so I went and I interned with the Red Hawks in Fargo for 2 summers, and by doing that, I realized I didn't want to work in sports, because you're at the baseball field till 10 p.m., midnight, whatever that may be. During the summer, you're working weekends. It's no mid 20-year-old kid wants to work the weekends in a summer or get done with work at midnight. That's just, it's not, it wouldn't have been sustainable for me. So something that I really wanted to do before I actually did it, it made me realize this isn't for me, you know? So, no, I hope, and you'll make the right decision. Everything always even if you decide to not do this anymore at some point, 5-10 years down the road or whatever that may be, it's always going to be, there's a reason that you made that decision.
Sure.
You may not know it right away. There's a reason I learned how to print t-shirts.
Right.
Because it got me to where I am right now. That was 6 years ago.
Yeah.
Had you never picked up the detailing business, you may not have met this certain person who offered you this opportunity or what have you. Mm-hmm. It all intermixes with each other. And it's kind of cool to look back after the fact and be okay, now I kind of understand why that was all happening.
Sure.
Yeah. So
awesome.
It is kind of crazy how at the end of everything, no matter what career choice you have, God has a role in there's a plan.
I
He's
agree,
got a
yeah.
plan for you.
Yep.
You know, and like you just said, the T-shirts. If you didn't know how to do that, you wouldn't be where you are now.
Yep.
And who knows where you would be if you didn't. But you're happy.
100%. Yep. And just taking risks and figuring it out on the fly. Like that's what I've been good at up until this point. I'm sure there's decisions I shouldn't have made, but then you could look at it in a sense of like, well, I made this decision because this was supposed to happen. So, it's all going to fall into place. You guys get good heads on your shoulders. I mean, you guys are super young too. It's like you're self-employed at 20 years old. I'd have never been able to do that. There's not a lot of people that would be able to do that. So yeah, it's good to see you guys are, you're working hard. You're doing all kinds of different stuff, trying to just figure it out. Like, put food on the table and try different stuff. And that's what any like 20-year-olds should be doing right now.
Thank you for all those kind words.
You bet, man. Yeah, it didn't. It's based off of experience, and I have 31 years of life, and 10 years of experience is really not that much, but you also learn a lot in 10 years that you hope you can just pass down to other people. So.
Okay, I got another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Outside of podcasting and YouTube content creation, and outside of golf too, what do you like to do for fun? Like, are you a big lake guy? Like, what are some of your hobbies?
Yeah, we go to the lake on the weekends. My in-laws have a place that we'll crash at for the weekend. That's a good time. I never grew up being a lake guy, so my wife likes it a hell of a lot more than I do, because there's this thing about me. I don't do any like household chores during the week because I'm just like chilling. I'm relaxing during the week. The weekends is when I may put in a full day of chores, like just stuff that has to be done around the house, because I didn't do them during the week, which I'm fine with, because I actually like a slower weekend where I can just work at my own pace and get stuff done. I would say like my biggest hobby right now, like I told you guys before, I'm a big phase guy. So when I get into something, I'll go so hard into it. I've actually really been into, I've gotten back into sports cards. So I've been like buying, selling sports cards. I've been getting into buying shit at the thrift store, flipping that on eBay.
Nice.
I'm kind of like in my flipping phase right now.
Some Gary Vee stuff.
Yeah, and it's like I was like the biggest Gary Vee fan when I was probably 24 to 26 years old, and I kind of like left that phase because a lot of it's just repetitive, and you hear it 10 times, and it's like, all right, I know what I have to do, and I know what type of person I need to be to get where I want to go. So I kind of fizzled out of that, and now it's kind of coming back in where it's like I'm not a big garage sale guy because I don't like the interaction of walking into somebody else's stuff and not buying anything. I feel guilty kind of. I'm like, I should just buy something, but if I don't find anything, why would I buy it?
Right.
So the thrift store is much easier. You can take your time. You can start scanning shit on your phone and be like, all right, well this is a $1 glass mug that I can sell for $5, and it's like, I'm not making any significant amount of money, maybe like a couple extra $100 a month. But it's also just kind of like, it's an adrenaline thing.
Yeah.
And I like, dude, this is $1 and I can sell for 20. Like, that's awesome. Kind of like brings a little kid out of me again, you know?
It's like satisfying to get that flip.
Yeah. I've been enjoying that. And like, I don't really have many people to talk about like, the flipping game's kind of like CrossFit. Like if you do CrossFit, you got to tell people that you do CrossFit.
Yeah.
I just don't have many people that I can tell about flipping stuff. And it annoys the shit out of my wife. I'm like, honey, like I found this $2 like this $2 quarter zip that I resold for $9.99, and I'm pumped right now. So that's been kind of fun because again, it's just like a couple $100 here, a couple $100 there, but it's like it's the thrill of finding something for cheap and reselling it for more, whether it's $5, $100.
Well, we appreciate you so much for coming on. Like, we've been able to talk through a lot of things that have even cleared up my mind while we've been talking. And this is our 4th podcast. We're not pro interviewers yet.
You're
but
fresh, dude.
Dude, super fresh.
Yeah.
So we appreciate you coming on and like learning from how you talk too. Like, you're just so relaxed on the mic. So
I talk too much too. Like, it's I don't know. I enjoy talking to people in this type of environment because I've done it a lot. But it's just a fun environment to, just talk to different people. Like Jack, I knew who you were because I knew who your siblings were.
Right.
But this is the first time we've ever gotten to sit down and actually like talk with each other. I'm 11 years older than you. We really would have had no reason to talk to each other unless I was trying to get a detail or whatever. But it's a cool opportunity to just get to talk to different people around the area.
100%.
One really cool thing too is, I'm going to speak for Jack as well because I'm sure he agrees with me, but we see what you've done and you've made part of our dream a reality of being able to do social media and stuff like that. And so it is really cool to talk to you and see that, because someday we would like to be where you're at in
100%.
your shoes with running the podcast.
Yeah.
So it is really cool. And thanks for coming on. It has been
bet.
awesome.
Well, awesome. Thank you so much for coming on once again. And big shout out to Giant Snacks. Without you guys, we would not be in business here. So one thing we do at the end of every podcast is let you pick out one of those bags of seeds.
Let's go.
So whatever flavor you want, you can take that with you. But yeah, once again, guys, make sure you like and follow the page here. Subscribe if you're on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. We'll be back next Monday with a new guest.
Peace.
Peace.
Love you.
Real ones with me, I know we gon' beat the odds. Counterfeit, guess they from the thought of it. People fake, think they need to start a kid.